for having me to speak here today. It's an honour to be here, both as Labour's candidate in Sheffield Heeley, but more importantly as a fellow trade unionist. When politicians talk about strike action, their go-to line is often that it represents failure on both sides of the negotiating table. Well, friends, there's been no failure on the side of your union today. The government's refusal to negotiate with thousands of hard-working NHS members across the country and to pass on the recommended pay rise obviously left you with no option than to take industrial action, and I support it without hesitation. Nobody wants to go on strike, but faced with Jeremy Hunt's refusal to negotiate and to pass on the pay rise, it's left you with no choice. And let's think about that pay rise for a second. A recommended 1% pay rise by the independent body NHS England, a pay rise below inflation, that even that which has been rejected represents a real terms drop in your wages. I was in this hospital only 2 weeks ago for an operation, and I saw how overworked staff are here. You deserve so much better than this government has treated you. A government that has wasted nearly £2 billion on harmful and unnecessary reorganisation, that has cut frontline staff, put extra pressure on workers, and has allowed private companies to profit at the expense of patients. The same government that claims it cannot afford your paltry 1% pay rise, because it was not public sector workers, nor was it immigrant workers or benefit recipients that caused the global financial crisis. It was the failure to regulate our global financial system and the unaccountable, unchecked, and to this day unchanged culture of our banking and financial markets. Friends, the NHS must be the battleground of the next election in May. We must stand together to protect our institution. Over the last 2 weeks, I have had hundreds and hundreds of emails from constituents in Sheffield Heeley about Labour's private members' bill that would reverse Section 75 of the Health and Social Care Act and exempt the NHS from the EU-US trade treaty known as TTIP. This represents the strength of support for our NHS, and it represents the strength of feeling against privatisation, which has been no good for patients, for staff, or the taxpayer. Friends, we must stand together to protect our NHS for this generation, the next, and all future generations. I stand in solidarity with your action today and all future struggles in which you stand for our rights and dignity as workers and trade unionists, for our NHS. Thank you for having me today, and solidarity in your action.